Well, as I mentioned, April, Financial Literacy Awareness Month. You may not have known that, but we are getting you primed because all week long, Coast 360 experts are joining us in studio right now. I'm just asking the questions, and I am but a funnel for you guys to help break us down everything about credit, about investments, about being smart with your money. No time is more pertinent than right now. And joining me right now are Consumer Loan Manager Derek Bollinger and Rowena De La Rosa, the Marketing Manager, and they will share some very important tips on establishing credit. So here we go.
Fiscal Fitness is made possible by our fitness partner, Coast 360 Federal Credit Union. Together we thrive.
All right, here we are. Together we thrive and together we learn. And thank you guys for sending in your questions. You were DMing us for the last week, and Derek and Rowena are here. So half a day, guys.
Half a day.
All right.
for having us.
Thank you so much. Now, we're going to take this hopefully on a day-by-day basis all this week and everything, looking at specific topics about personal finance, wealth management, investments, what have you. Today, I wanted to, if it's okay with the two of you, talk about something that I know a lot of people have a million questions about, and probably the subject of a lot of misunderstanding is building credit.
Right.
All right. So, Rowena, what are some of the most common topics that bubble up when people are considering applying for a credit card?
They ask usually if they need specific credit to apply to start off, or
which is interesting because what kind of credit do you need to get a credit card? Very, very meta.
Right. Or what documents do they need for the application? So usually we ask for verification of employment, 2 latest check stubs, basically to prove your income.
Mm-hmm.
And
do you need to be of a certain age where it's optimal to apply for a credit card, or can you be like, a 13-year-old kid? Because these days, you can order food online, you can, order a ride online, you can, do Amazon until you're blue in the face and everything like that. Is there too young of an age?
Oh yes, definitely. I believe it's 21 you must apply, right?
Yeah, well, you need to be at least 18 to enter into any type of obligation. So if you're younger than 18, we wouldn't be able to give you your own credit card account.
Okay, so the parents would kind of was it co-sign on behalf of their child, or it would be under them, but the child would use it?
Well, you could be an authorized user on a parent's credit card, but you wouldn't be able to have your own credit card under your name until you turn 18. Rowena mentioned 21. There are some specific rules for specifically for credit cards for people who aren't yet 21, and that gets a little complicated. But you could still get one. You just need to have your own independent income source of repayment for a credit card. Okay,
and having a credit card, as I understand it, guys, is probably the most tried and true, proven way of establishing credit and making sure that your credit is in good standing with lending folks like yourself, right?
Yes. You can also get a small unsecured loan. Most financial institutions offer first-time borrowers. Small as $500 to maybe even $1,000. And then you can start establishing credit through there. Give it yourself at least 6 months to a year, pay that off, and by the end of the period, you should be able to build a decent score.
Now, Derek, my daddy took me to a bank when I was a little kid, and he said, "Okay, we're going to start you off with like a checking account." These days, young kids are like, "What's a check?" But he went there and he's like, "Okay, I'm establishing this not so that you can go and make bad decisions and everything, but I want to teach you how to be responsible and manage it." Is a small unsecured loan the way to go, like in the more modern day for kids?
No, there's still a lot of benefits to having your checking and savings account, like you mentioned. I think one thing that we want to stress is that taking out loans is not a replacement for saving money, right? So saving money, I think, still has an important place in today's society, and we probably don't do enough of it, right? And part of it might be we don't have enough money to save, but learning good habits like that your dad taught you is certainly a good thing. Loans, credit cards, those should be things that help to supplement the savings. And then there are big purchases like a house or a car where it may take you too long to save for. So loans can help you speed up that process. But I think starting you off with savings or a checking account, some type of deposit account is certainly responsible of your dad to do.
Now, Rowena, you gave us some context by saying a small unsecured loan, right?
Right.
Can you differentiate between a unsecured one and a secured one?
Sure. An unsecured loan is basically there's no collateral behind it. You're just borrowing funds from the financial institution.
Small kind, like the kids say. Small
kind. Small, manageable. And then a secured loan would be something that would be secured against funds already in your deposit account, your savings account. So the funds sitting in your savings account will be collateral for that loan. And what the financial institution does is it locks it in. And once you've paid off your loan, the funds will then be released back to you for your use. That would be the best way to go, especially for those that aren't employed, but they're still trying to build or rebuild their credit. And you just set up auto transfer, and you kind of set it and forget it, and you would have a decent score.
Now, Derek, I want to talk about bill payments in just a moment, but one thing that I think people don't appreciate enough is actually being in debt and having financial obligations. That's a good thing, and that's part of adulting, right?
It could be, yeah. It
Okay,
definitely
explain,
can be.
please.
Having credit available to you can be very helpful. Things come up in life, medical expenses, any type of emergency that you may not be able to pay with what's just in your account, with your bank account. And having access to credit, whether it be through a loan or a credit card, can save people's life in some cases, right? It can definitely bail you out of tough situations, just having access to credit. And that's how you do that, is by maintaining your credit. So a lot of people might say, like, well, I want to be debt free, which is good. Less to pay, of course, right? Lower your bills. But you do want to try to maintain your credit. So that way, when you do need to access credit again, you're able to fairly easily.
And this shows to lending institutions like yourselves that I, as a borrower, thank you. Yeah, see, this is why you guys are the pros, right? As a borrower, that I am responsible enough and trustworthy enough that I can do this. And Rowena, I would assume that, like, me being able to actually pay my bills in full and on time is a major indicator of that.
Oh yes, definitely. I mean, it's like when we go to schools and we talk to kids, right? This is how we teach them financial literacy. Would you lend money to someone who you've lent money to before, but was either delayed or never paid you back? So the same principle applies to financial institutions, right? So us determining whether you would be a qualified borrower or someone who would be qualified to repay the loan would be dependent on your history.
Okay, so you see it right up there on the screen. That fourth bullet point is something that, admittedly, you were talking about financial literacy.
Right.
Not taking shots at anybody, I am financially dyslexic, so I tend to actually try and understand stuff, but I get it completely backwards. What is credit utilization, folks?
That generally refers to how you use your credit card. When you get issued a credit card, you'll have a limit that you're allowed to use. Let's say it's $5,000. Credit utilization is how much of that $5,000 you actually use. So if you have the card and never use it, you basically have a utilization of 0.
Right.
If you're using the whole 5,000, then you've spent the entire line, and you have a utilization now of 100%.
Okay.
So keeping that utilization low, keeping that credit available to you, generally helps keep your score higher.
Okay, and Rowena, we got about 30 seconds, but that last bullet point was diversifying your credit mix. This sounds more like an investment strategy where diversification is good, but what does that mean precisely?
So basically, just adding more into your credit, right? Credit card, personal loan, auto loan, not all at the same time, hopefully, but it shows that you're being financially responsible to manage all these debts.
Okay, and again, this improves my standing with you and increases the opportunity that I may have should I need to borrow more down the road.
Right, and it helps boost your score as well, assuming you make payments on time.
Also boosts your self-esteem too. Yeah, I pay my bills, and as I should.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, tell you what, those were some of the questions that I had, but we are featuring your questions when the hotspot continues with Derek and Rowena from Coast 360. We are teaching you financial literacy, one of the most valuable lessons you can ever have, and your questions are next.
Fiscal Fitness is made possible by our fitness partner, Coast 360 Federal Credit Union. Together we thrive.
That very clever title. Watson, we want to make sure with our friends at Coast 360, Derek, Rowena are here. They are experts in the topic of financial management. We want to not just get guys, our audience, physically fit. We want to get them ripped, right? Be absolutely aware, be smart, make wise decisions, and also know where to go should you need any help with these topics. And as such, we have a question. You guys ready? This one came to us for video, so here is our first question from you.
Hi, my name's Curtis, and I just wanted to know what's the importance of good credit score and how long does it take to establish it?
Okay, coming in hot. So Derek, you want to field this one? The importance of having a good credit score.
Yeah, that's a great question.
And you know a thing from your basketball career about, about lighting up the scoreboard too.
Yeah, well, I wish that helped me. Yeah, having a good credit score, one of the important things, well, the first thing is just having a better score increases your chances of getting approved. But beyond that, having a good credit score could help you qualify for lower interest rates. And having a lower interest rate on your loan means that you pay less back in interest to the lender. Doesn't work as much for us because we get less money back. But it works for you as the borrower, right? So you're getting a lower interest rate, a better deal, which also leads to a lower monthly payment.
Also important to stress that if you don't have a absolutely pristine credit score, that's not damning for all time. It can be repaired, and you can again improve our standing with you.
Yeah. So Rowena mentioned, the cash secured loan. There are a lot of people who fall onto hard times. It's not something that you cannot recover from. So if you've had some issues with your credit, there are definitely ways that you can improve it. It takes some time. Unfortunately, it's not something that happens overnight, improving your credit, but it can be done.
Right on. Okay, you can be redeemed if you have, like Derek was just saying, if unfortunate situations befall you. All right, we have another video question. This is great. Rowena, you want to take this next one?
Sure.
All right, here we go. Roll tape, guys.
How can I start building credit if I have no credit history? Thank you.
Well, that's an interesting one. So this is kind of a variation on the theme of what we just covered.
Right.
How do you actually establish credit? It's kind of like a catch-22 almost, because how do you establish good credit if you have no credit history, and how do you get a credit history if you have no good credit?
Right. So basically,
The snake is eating its own tail.
I know we kind of touched on it the first time around, but basically, no credit is better credit versus bad credit, because at least you have a better chance of qualifying for at least the starter loan that we were talking about.
Clean slate almost.
Clean slate,
Okay.
right. And as he was asking, so to establish credit because you don't have one yet, we usually recommend either the credit card, applying for a credit card. There are two kinds, the regular revolving, which is borrowing directly from the financial institution, or a secured credit card, which is similar to the secured loan, which uses your funds to be collateral. So you basically borrow against the funds in your savings account, and you create a credit card or a loan against it, and you pay it back.
Again, is this something that people should be considering when they get out into the workforce around 23, 24? I know, like you said, 18 is the legal age and everything like that. But at what point should you start making decisions about the credit you want to establish?
It would be best, because thinking about college times, right? When you go to the States, people look into your credit when you're getting a car, when you're even renting an apartment. So it'd be best to start as soon as possible, even maybe by the age before 21. Because that would really just help you out, if you're going to go off island. But here on Guam, I think it's more laxed. It's best to establish it at least by 18. I would recommend 18, because that's college times, and then most people graduate sooner, maybe 20, 21, and you hit the job.
There you go.
Yeah, so it just kind of progresses from there. So it's best to establish it sooner.
Okay, tell you what, we have time for one more question, and this one is going to come from somebody. This is me, right? I'm wondering, I have had debit and credit cards, and you walk into like a bank, a credit union, everything like that, and they've got all these wonderful brochures. What is the difference in terms of my own credit score and my own credit stability of having a debit card or a credit card?
Well, first, a debit card, that's your own money, right? So your debit card is linked to your own checking account. So it's not actually credit. You're not borrowing those funds. You already own those funds. So deposit accounts like checking accounts or savings accounts don't actually show up on your credit report. A credit card, in comparison, is not your money. So when you use a credit card, you're borrowing money from a lender and basically promising that you'll pay that money back. So, both have their ups and downs. You have a debit card, you're never going to use more than you have. When you have a credit card, you're only using what you don't have, right?
It's a hard cap.
Yeah, and you can, a lot of times credit cards, nowadays especially, you may even have a balance or a credit limit of say $10,000. You could use that entire limit but not be able to pay it off right away.
Right.
So they're different products for different purposes, both important, but I think one thing to keep in mind is that the debit card will not show up on your credit report.
Okay, and it would sound to be strategic as if you would have both and then use the right tool for the right job, as we so often say, and everything like that. So if you need immediate cash or something like that where there is no obligation, or I'm not going to set up a payment schedule for myself, take it off the debit card, or if you want to do something,
And I
credit
think
card is the right way to go.
I mentioned earlier that there is still a place for saving, right? Savings and establishing your own deposits. So you're not relying on credit. You're not relying on money that you borrow from someone else. And so that can be a distinction between your debit card and your credit card. So what you have in your debit card is your own money. You've saved that up, you've built that up. What you have in your credit card is money that you're actually borrowing from a lender.
There you go. Okay, so Rowena and Derek, once again from Coast 360, are friends who are helping you bring this week-long series in terms of making smart decisions about your money. Guys, thank you. We are looking forward to working with you guys all week, hopefully much longer than that, because these are very, very valuable lessons that people have to know. And I would say, unfortunately, most people don't spend the time to really take into consideration for themselves and from their families and everything. So we'll see you guys tomorrow.
Thanks for having us.
thanks.
They've got a permanent parking spot here at KUN. We'll tell you what, someone that made a quite lengthy trek up here is Mayor Ernest Chargaloff. He is the mayor of Melissa, and there are wonderful things happening down south this weekend. His honor, the mayor, is coming up next on the Hotspot, and we are talking about Gupa Tomorrow and Fiesta and Tassi. Stay tuned.